Greetings from Costa Rica, and welcome to this very special edition of my Friday broadcast. It is my 500th YouTube video. I've been uploading now for 7 years since September of 2018, here presenting real estate information and trying to provide as much guidance as I can to the world out there. Today, I wanted to reflect on what I've learned about buying and selling Costa Rica real estate in that time and really give you some of the most important lessons that I've learned at that time. We'll take a trip down memory lane and quickly look at my first ever YouTube video just to give you an idea of what things used to look like. Then we'll go over what things, my lessons that I've learned and that some of the most important pieces of advice that I want to share with you. We will also cover 3 beachfront properties, which are extremely rare here in Costa Rica, and give you an idea of some special listings there. And we'll wrap up, hopefully not too long from now. As always, folks, if you want to get in touch with me about Guanacaste real estate, you can email me at matt@costaricamat.com. I'm also more than happy to have you contact me directly on WhatsApp. You can pull out your phone and scan this QR code, and it should bring up WhatsApp and my contacts so that you can get directly in touch. As a reminder, I am a Guanacaste real estate broker serving the areas that extend from Playa Potrero all the way in the north, down through Junquillal, all the way to Marbella. That includes everything in between, including the areas of Flamingo Grande, Tamarindo Langosta, Avellanas Negra, and of course, Playa Junquillal, where I am broadcasting today. If you're out there and looking to celebrate, love to hear from you. Send me any questions, comments, or concerns. You can post those in the comments during our live video right now, or feel free to post them in the comments later so that I can address them in a future episode. I also want to remind you, if you're looking for Costa Rica real estate's best video resource about the basics of real estate here, you can go to costaricamat.com, smash that big blue V-Book button, and request my free 20-plus chapter V-Book with answers to some of the most basic real estate questions out there and some of the most frequently asked questions that I get as a realtor here in Guanacaste. Let's take, first of all, a quick look at my first ever YouTube upload on September 13th, 2018, just to take a quick trip down memory lane here. Hello, live from Costa Rica. This is Matt Rosensteel. I'm here in the offices of Latitude 10 with Doug Stern. Doug is a builder here in Costa Rica with over 3 decades of experience. Wow, listen to that audio. A lot has changed since then. A lot of things haven't. I'm still sitting right here at the same desk. That video perspective was just looking over there into this corner. And obviously, I have come a long way personally, professionally. And I do want to say a deep, heartfelt thank you to everybody who has helped me along this journey to get to 500 YouTube videos. Let's see if we're back online. I hope I did come back online. That was an internet outage here. So one of the things that has not changed too much about Costa Rica since I started broadcasting 7 years ago is that, yes, you do see occasional power outages here that can send your internet connection offline, even if you are trying to be as prepared as possible. I hope before you left that I was able to get in there a sincere thank you to my family, to my colleagues, to the clients who have been part of my career these last 7 years. I've closed 163 real estate transactions since 2018, which is really when I became a full-time realtor. And I'm sincerely grateful to all of those people out there, my clients who pick up the phone and decide to use me as their realtor. Special shout out today to Susan and Paul, clients currently involved in a deal who have a very special place in my heart. It's been great working with you so far, and it will continue to be. And I can't wait to close your transaction and make it 164. Here we go, folks. I want to start sharing lessons that I have learned over the course of 500 YouTube videos about buying real estate here in Guanacaste. First and foremost, for most foreigners, Costa Rica is and will always be a far better vacation destination than a place to live. I would love for this to be somewhere that everybody should move to. I'd love to say that Guanacaste is perfect for everybody, but the absolute truth is that's not the case. And every year that I'm involved in real estate here, I have to acknowledge that many people will be wonderfully happy visiting Guanacaste, taking vacations here. And for many people, buying a vacation property is a much better idea than investing in a home to relocate to. Really, the style of life here, the amount of activities available, the infrastructure, the different stressors that you have to deal with in Costa Rica mean that it's not perfect for everybody. And while I'd love, again, to say, oh, you should definitely move here, there are some big caveats. And for many people, it will always be better to vacation in Guanacaste rather than moving here. Number two, one of the fundamental lessons that I try to drill into everybody who watches and that really becomes more apparent year after year is that the decision to buy real estate in Costa Rica, if it's made before you have truly experienced Costa Rica, very often you're going to end up regretting that decision to buy. And I've had some viewers mention, oh, well, you don't really want to mention buyer's remorse. I think that the vast majority of buyer's remorse in Costa Rica comes when people decide to try and take a different approach. And when they've made a decision to buy real estate here before they've really experienced Costa Rica. In fact, I would say that if your reason for purchasing here in Guanacaste is anything except for the fact that you've visited, hopefully multiple times, and you've fallen in love with what it was like while you were here and how you felt about spending time here, your motivation for purchasing here may end up leading to regret down the line. Many people these days are just looking to get out of wherever they're currently living. They're scared of something or they feel tense about what's going on in their home country. And the rush to buy something in a foreign country simply to get away from what they're experiencing at home can often lead to unhappiness because they didn't really understand what Guanacaste is, what it is to live here, and what benefits it provides in addition to those negative things that can wear on you. So I highly recommend each and every day if you are out there and considering moving to Costa Rica, don't take the decision that you want to buy real estate here until you're here in Costa Rica, you're absolutely in love with what you're experiencing, and you say, yeah, this is somewhere I could see myself and where I'd really like to move. Number three, the perfect property almost doesn't exist. And very often I have the fault of really not trying to push people into just making a decision to buy real estate. And often that can backfire because people decide that they're not finding something that exactly meets every need. We acknowledge that there are drawbacks to every house they've seen. And years later, those folks have missed out on being able to purchase at the price point they wanted. Years later, they've lost sort of that adventuresome spirit, or for one reason or another in their personal lives, they can no longer move to Costa Rica. If you've decided that you love Costa Rica, if you realize that this is somewhere you want to own property, don't wait until you find the absolute perfect home, condo, or piece of land. You need to find what are your absolute top priorities in finding that property. You need to find properties that will generally work for your true goals. And then you need to make a decision to move forward. I have a lot of clients. I'm thinking of a couple Canadians who had been looking at condos here in Junquillal. Several years ago, they were about to move forward on 2 condos for $245,000. Nowadays, those condos are priced at $350,000. They still don't own a Costa Rica property. They've started traveling to other places, and you do see plenty of people who end up regretting not taking the plunge. And very often it's because they said, well, I didn't really find that absolutely perfect house. Remember, in Costa Rica, the quantity of real estate available is a far smaller number of homes, condos, and lots than you may find in more developed places like the US or Canada. And so you should be prepared to accept the fact that really perfect properties aren't out there, and you'll be having to weigh different pros and cons and trade-offs about any property in which you end up investing. Before we go on to the next set of 3 lessons I've learned over these years, I want to quickly go over a few beachfront properties that I have for sale here in Guanacaste. And one in particular has an exciting update that previously had made it somewhat of a more difficult proposition. First and foremost, let's talk about that one in particular. I just went there yesterday and we found out that the title of this property is now clear of something that was preventing it from, or that made it more worrisome in the past. This is a 6-bedroom, massive beachfront home here in Junquillal. It was built in the late 90s with incredibly solid construction. But to me, this property is absolutely unique because, first of all, it's a 3/4 acre titled beachfront property. You have tons of room. You could build more structures. The house itself would make an incredible, it could be a hotel someday. Personally, I think if someone converted it into an assisted living facility, you could have a great income funnel offering that sort of service if someone were really looking to invest long-term in Costa Rica. You could add cabins. You could turn it into a restaurant/hotel, as I mentioned. And really, because it's such a large property and such a large home, it could be used for a lot of purposes. There are 4 bedrooms. I'm sorry, there are actually 6 bedrooms in the main home. There's also a guest house on this property. So there's a huge amount of potential, and really, as a project for someone who wants to build something unforgettable on the beachfront, this home, now with no little annotation on that title that was complicating things, is a very exciting opportunity for the right person. The next two beachfronts I want to go over are two beachfront condos that you may have seen on my channel before. One is a 1,300 square foot condo, and the other is a 1,600 square foot condo that's been fully remodeled. Again, beachfront real estate in Costa Rica is very rare. They've done, the beachfront maritime zone law here has made it extremely difficult for people to develop the beachfront. And really, it's something that makes Costa Rica special, that you have those jungle-lined, really, minimal development beaches. And these condos here at Las Brisas del Mar are two of the only pure beachfront condos that you would find on the market in Guanacaste right now. You can see the complex here. You literally walk across the common areas and you're directly in the sand. So it's a very special place, and you rarely see this kind of direct beach access here in the country. Let's keep going with lessons learned over 7 years and 500 videos. Next, I want to talk about the fact that if you do buy property in Costa Rica, the biggest factor affecting your long-term happiness here isn't necessarily the exact property, your condo, the home itself. It's going to be the community where you have invested. A lot of people move down here and they expect to either make a bunch of friends, they really imagine themselves doing a certain kind of activity, but overall, they get down and perhaps they've invested in a home that was the best fit for their budget. They've tried to get a condo that would have the best possible rental returns. And a lot of the people who are selling their property only 2 or 3 years down the road are the ones who sacrificed that community that would have made them happy in order to get a specific property that met one or more of their needs. For example, with the number of bedrooms or the square footage of a home, people end up trying to find somewhere where those sorts of factors line up with their budget, rather than first focusing on the community that would make them happy, and then staying really focused on finding a property in that location. When people contact me and they specifically list out, I want a 3-bedroom home, 1,500 square feet, has to have a view, high ceilings, paved road, XYZ. Sometimes I get lists of 20 things about the property itself. My first question to those people is always, well, where have you visited and where did you feel comfortable here in Costa Rica, and where do you feel you could see yourself visiting or living in the future? If there doesn't happen to ever be a property in your ideal community that meets the requirements that you have, well, I think that's a better result, and holding off on buying something would be really a better outcome than if you say, well, I found this house in a community that wasn't necessarily what I first thought I would like, because you may be one of those people who 2 or 3 years down the road is reselling your property, losing a little bit of money because either the market has shifted downward or just because the costs of reselling are so high. And you may have been absolutely happy with a 2-bedroom instead of a 3-bedroom, or you might have been able to sacrifice that small bit of rental income that you might find in a busier area and end up far happier because you're in a quiet community where you love the people, where you feel at home, and where you've actually enjoyed your vacation. So long story short, always, first and foremost, find your location where you want to invest, the place where you feel like this is where I want to be, and then start looking for property that can fit your needs on those other factors and the what else you need. Number 5, a huge lesson that I continue to see is that the biggest mistake many foreigners make moving to Costa Rica is trusting their gut. If you've grown up and spent your entire life in the United States or Canada, you've learned to trust your instincts about certain things in a completely different context than Costa Rica. And I can't believe the number of foreigners who move down here every year, and in one way or another, they trust those same instincts in a completely new context rather than gathering more information or finding somebody who can guide them in making the right decision. People build up a natural confidence, having grown up in, let's say, Indiana, that you know what's going on and that you can judge people, that you can judge contractors, that you can figure out what's going on in any certain scenario. And year after year, lots of foreigners come down here. They rely on those same instincts. And once again, they may end up either overspending on a construction project. They may end up hiring the wrong property manager, landscaper, etc. Or overall, they just make the wrong decision because they figure that those instincts, their gut, is going to serve them just as well here in Costa Rica as it would in the United States or Canada. And unfortunately, that is simply not true. To go to a big human problem, I also see that many people prefer to make mistakes rather than admitting that they need advice or guidance. And this is the classic definition, I guess, of hubris or whatever you want to call it. People come down and they would much prefer to follow their own those instincts, or really they don't want to tell anybody that they need guidance and advice. And instead of looking for the right people to guide them through this process of moving to Costa Rica and or buying real estate here, they often skip that part. They think too highly of themselves, and really they focus on being able to stay independent. They take that headstrong instinct, and rather than admitting, hey, I don't know anything about this area and what's going on here, they decide to plunge headfirst into a major life change without saying, hey, I really don't know what's going on here, and I could use an expert to guide me through this. If you are out there and looking for an expert, I'm proud to say that I've lived and worked in Guanacaste since 2008 when I came here as a Peace Corps volunteer. I'm proud that I have 500 YouTube videos as of today to help provide you guidance, and I'd be more than happy to help you avoid some of those errors and to help you navigate what can be an incredibly life-changing experience. Again, thanks so much out to everyone out there, my subscribers, my clients, my world-class team. I greatly appreciate everyone's support reaching 500 YouTube videos. I'll be back next Friday, as always, Friday, December 12th. Thanks very much for joining me today. Sorry about our electrical outage earlier, and have a great weekend.